Hey everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of Unbreakable, the podcast. It is Tuesday. It's go wonderful. November 26th, classic movie of the week. Listen, that's one of the things he does. Guess what movie we're talking about? Um, yes, you're right. It's Titanic. No, just kidding. It's the Wizard of Oz. That's what we're talking about today. All right. Before we do that though, I gotta show you. Bud, our friend Babushka Bud. There he goes. Not a real babushka, it's a spawn. Just pulled over his ears. I work for food, I come to your house. There it is. We miss it. Didn't help him. Bud, did wait. Wizard of Oz. What a great movie. Huh? Loved it as a kid. Still love it. It's on Thanksgiving night, TBS, 8 o'clock. Watch it. It used to come on every year. Back in 1956. That's when it first started coming on TV on CBS. Then it came on in 1959, and then it started coming on every year. And it was on every year, like around springtime, right? Easter time. And it was a big deal, when I was a kid. You would like, oh, can we stay up? Can we stay up and watch The Wizard of Oz? It was like a big deal. You had your jammies there, you have your popcorn and your snack, and you're watching the Wizard of Oz. So that's a big deal. And nowadays, now that Wicked is out, I told you I saw Wicked over the weekend. It's a really fun movie. I recommend you go see it. Um, Now, people are getting interested again in the Wizard of Oz, the original. So I gotta tell you about the Wizard of Oz. Just some trivia, some things I found out. Just put my stupid glasses on. These glasses are going to go pretty soon, because I'm getting my cataracts out. So yeah. The first one is out in December 23rd, and they're gonna screw in a little attachment there, a new lens, so I'll be able to see far away. That's my Christmas present. 2020 vision. I can't wait. I've never seen far away before. Anyway, you don't care. We're going to talk about the Wizard of Oz. Now, 1939, MGM. It was based on a book by L. Frank Baum, which he actually wrote in 1900, a long time ago. And he wrote several books on the Land of Oz. But the original was called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And the movie premiered on August 25th, 1939. It actually premiered 2 weeks before that, August the 10th, 1939, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, of all places. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the director was a Packers fan or something. Anyway, speaking of which, the film had a few directors. This was a very, doing this research, very troubled film. They had accidents on this film. They had different directors. They had about 11 screenwriters. This film was just chaos. I mean, the final product, as we know, is a classic movie, not only for kids, but for adults too. But it went through a lot of changes while they were making it. So the main director, though, his name was Victor Fleming. He went on to direct Gone with the Wind, also out in 1939. That was another film they had a lot of problems with. And so Fleming said he's going to leave. He had most of the Wizard of Oz done. But toward the end, he said, all right, I need to go over, handle Gone with the Wind. You guys handle this. I'll see you. And out he went. So then they had a few other directors, including King Vidor. What a name, King Vidor. came on and finished the ups. And most of the scenes were filmed, other than the Kansas scenes, the ones in black and white. They had to finish that up. And one of them, believe it or not, even though it was early in the movie, one of the last scenes or sequences not filmed yet was Dorothy, played by Judy Garland, singing Over the Rainbow. They sang that to near the end. The music, we did the music is a big part of it. So who doesn't sing it, right? Prophecy Wizard, Over the Rainbow, If I Only Had a Brain, so many good songs. You guys, again, like the other aspects of the movie, more than one song, although the two principal songwriters, Harold Arlen wrote the words, and a guy named Yip Handler. Yip. So back in those days, they had cool nicknames. Yip, come on over here. Yip. The movie was made for $2.8 million, which at the time was the most expensive movie ever made. It actually ended up making $29 million. Ooh. Although when it first came out in 1939, it was a success. And it was a critical success too. But it didn't make that much money. What happened was the movie was re-released in 1949. And that's when it started making money for GM. People started finding out, wow, this Wizard of Oz is a great movie. People started to see it. Then, of course, it started coming on TV in the mid-50s. It was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of the Year, Best Song of the Year, Over the Rainbow, Best Score of the Year, and it did win. It won for Best Song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and Best Score, and it won another one. So it actually won 3, and Judy Garland got a special, what they called back in the day, Juvenile Award. So it did pretty well, but it did not win the Best Picture, 1939. A big part of the movie, as we know, other than the story and the great music, was the Technicolor. Especially when Dorothy lands in Munchkin Land, the house, the tornado, it lands on top of the Wicked Witch of the East and kills her. Dorothy comes out of the house, and there's the color, Technicolor of Munchkin Land. And I never saw the Wizard of Oz in a movie theater. First time I ever saw it was on TV. So back in the 60s, when we started getting our color TVs, I'm talking like it's prehistoric. The kids nowadays, they don't understand that. I sound like an old furby kid still understand it. But they don't. There was a time when I was growing up, we didn't have color TV. We had black and white. And back in the mid-60s, that when the Super Bowl thing, that's when they started changing over. And then a lot of shows started converting over to color. But so up until the mid-60s, you didn't see much TV. And Oz and all that great Technicolor, unless you saw it in the theaters. So when we got on color TVs, and one of the things we really wanted to see, I remember this as a kid, was the Wizard of Oz because of the color. It is the most viewed movie in history, and this was determined by the Library of Congress. The most viewed movie in history. And in 1989, the Library of Congress voted to preserve It was one of the first films voted to be preserved, kept forever. And Variety magazine in 2022, not that long ago, their 100 greatest films of all time, they named The Wizard of Oz number two. Number two. But you know what number one is? Maybe Gone with the Wind, Citizen Kane, I don't know. But who knows? If you see the main characters, of course you know characters, right? You know the story. It's about this girl, this farm girl in Kansas, has this dream sequence, hits her head. There's a tornado alley, bumps her head, falls asleep. Then she's in this magical place, the rainbow, the land of and it's about there's no place like home. Because before this, she's kind of a dreamer. She's wishing, you're stuck with the head of Uncle Henry, and I wish I was someplace else, blah, 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 you know. And the moral of the story is there's no place like that. So, and then when she's in Oz, she meets all these colorful characters. And she's pursued by a witch. There was one guy named Frank Morgan who played 5 different roles in the Wizard. He played the wizard. He played Professor Marvel in the Kansas scenes. He played in Oz the gatekeeper, the carriage driver, and the guard with the bushy orange mustache. Toto the dog, was played by a dog named Terry. I actually saw Toto's final list. They have the dog statue right there. They did it nice. It's a nice grave walk over there for Toto the dog. It's big. And if you go to Google, if you type in final resting places, and it says on the column, final resting places for cast and wizards. If there's a montage there, where you can actually see all the cast and puppet, including Toto. Toto too. You hear them about Toto too. And the Munchkins, but they were a group of 100 people. And back then, they used to call them midgets, not little people, which is the politically correct term. Okay. But back then, and these were a group, they were actors, just like else, and they worked for parts, and they were called the singer midgets. That was the group name. They didn't go by them, that's I'm just saying. Whatever. There were talks about doing a movie about the Wizard as long before 1931. But what really, really propelled it to production was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. When Snow White came out, Disney, and that had such a big reaction, kids went to see it, adults went to see it, they just loved it. That prompted MGM to get him a shtick and said, yeah, I think the Wizard of Oz is going to be good. I think we can make a movie out of it. I think we would make some money. Okay, so that's what. And the original, there were a couple of original drafts for the Wizard. So in fact, the original screenwriters, a guy named Mankiewicz, he wrote a 17-page outline and 56 more pages. Ogden Nash, he was a poet. They actually brought him on board to help polish the script. He wrote a 4-page novel. And a guy named Langley, who was actually one of the credited screenwriters at the end of the project, wrote a 43-page outline. They got a lot of different drafts, a lot of different scripts. And you'd be very surprised. A lot of the scripts they were not like the fire script. It was very some of the scripts took the magic out. Yeah, they had the witch and thing, but it was like the scarecrow. Okay, he doesn't have a brain, but they made him into this stupid guy who just all he could do was like stand in cornfield and skip worms. And they made him really stupid. It wasn't that stupid. The Tin Man. The Tin Man, get this, in one of the scripts, was a criminal. I can't believe it. Was a criminal. He was this guy, a convict, a prisoner, and he was sentenced for life to wear this tin suit. I kid you not. And then all these crazy scripts, and sort of fascinating me. Like, when you think about what could have been. Now, when they finally decided on the different characters, and uh, actually Burt Lahr, who played the Cowardly Lion, uh, and Ray Bolger, who played the Scarecrow, um, sort of, I wouldn't say improvised, but they suggested different lines to help the character there. So it's pretty fascinating. The final draft was completed on October the 8th, 1938. And yet there were actually 11 screenwriters who wrote the script for The Wizard of Oz, but it was only credited with like two screenwriters. But everybody had kind of like their hand in the pie, and they couldn't get it right. They had to polish it up there. Uh, yeah, there was actually one scene. There were a lot of deleted scenes in the movie. One scene they had a jitterbug, because in the late 30s, jitterbug, big band music was very popular. They actually had a scene where the Tin Man does the jitterbug, some sort of a dance or something. They wanted to incorporate that into the movie, and it just they had to take it out. Plus, there were time constraints, and so took it out. But they wanted to play around with the music. In fact, they had one scenario where Dorothy would get to and then when they finally hired Judy Garland to play Dorothy, it was between her, Shirley Temple, and another girl, Deanna Durbin. Supposedly, she was like this famous actress, kid actress back then. When Judy Garland got the role, they knew she could sing. So they really wanted to take advantage of that. So there was one scene in The Wizard of Oz in one of the drafts where she would get the Oz and she would have like a sing off, like an American Idol thing. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. She would have a sing off with this arrogant princess that lived in Oz. Not Glinda, the good witch, who floats around in a bubble. They had this other character. It was going to be a princess, a musical princess, and Dorothy would sing off, and ooh, there goes Coco. And that's how they would get the music into the film. They said that's not going to work. They had a wise choice then, and they got rid of it. There was also, I get this. This is fascinating. There was also a script where there was a romantic interest between Dorothy and the Scarecrow. What? I mean, to me, I was the Dorothy was supposed to be this little girl. In fact, they really number of it for Judy Garland as far as like Judy Garland was just like 16-year-old woman, like put these sport bras on her back then, tone her down a little bit, making her take these pills to watch her weight. So it was really kind of child abuse related to that, But nobody ever really, there was no like legislation through the ballot. They just did what they wanted to do. A terrible thing. But one of the scripts had Judy Garland sort of enamored or in love with Skip. And they toned that down. But some of it remained in the script. Do you remember at the very end of Dorothy's Stay in Oz, where she says goodbye to all the Tin Man, the Lion, and the Scarecrow, and she's crying, and she says to the Scarecrow, "I think I'll miss you most of all." They left that in. That was part of the script where Dorothy and the Scarecrow I had a thing for each other. I don't know. And then part of that script was when she wakes up in Kansas, she has a thing for the farmhand who was Ray Bolger and who was going away to college. He become this agriculture. God, I swear to God, this is true. Dorothy was drinking and going away with it. Stuff. He was spooky. Yikes. Anyway, I'm glad they did it. But they left that one line in. I think I'm going to miss you most of all. Ricky. But there was a lot of description, a lot of tweaking still. You know, when it got to the Technicolor parts, because Technicolor was so new back then, it took them like 6 months just to film the Technicolor parts. And the reason was because of the color. They had to have extra lighting, which made it really hot in the studio. It was at 100 degrees in the studio. These actors had to show up at like 4 o'clock in the morning just to get into the costumes. The makeup was brutal. Can you believe it? I mean, the Cowardly Lion and the Scarecrow both wore foamy latex masks. And at the end of the day, these guys worked from 4 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night for 6 straight months. And they had to do this over and over again every night. They would peel the mask off of Ray Bolger's face, the Scarecrow, because they really stuck it on. To the extent that Ray Bolger ended up with permanent lines around his mouth from the makeup from the mask. So what? They put these guys to torture. Really, we're talking about Jack Hale, what he went through with his makeup. So yeah, one of the things it took a week, a very slow process, just to get the shade of the yellow brick road right. Because they didn't want it too bright and flashy, like a neon yellow. You didn't want it too dull. You wanted the right tone of the yellow brick road. So that took a whole week just to get that, just to get the color. So really, the reason they didn't hire Shirley Temple to play the role, she was very, very close, by the way, to getting the role as Dorothy. Very close. Was a contract thing that they thought, well, they already had Judy Garland contract. Why not use her, right? We'll just kind of change her a little bit, make her less woman, more like a girl, and we'll go with Judy Garland. And money, it all comes down to money. So you know about the Ray Bolger came on late because Buddy Epson, the guy who played Jed Clampett in the Beverly Hillbillies, he was a hell of a dancer back in the States. He was scheduled to play the Tin Man. Actually, when they hired, get this, when they hired Buddy Epson, he was going to play the Scarecrow. Ray Bolger, who they did hire because they liked him, was going to play the Tin Man. Ray Bolger walked at them. He thought, I'm not a Tin Man. I'm not a Tin Man. He said, I'm much. Ray Bolger had a thing for the Scarecrow. He actually saw this play. Get this. Ray Bolger knew of the Wizard of Oz. He saw a very early play of it and read the L. Frank Baum book, and he was a fan. You know how things work out, destiny, fate. He was a fan of the Scarecrow character. He always thought he was the Scarecrow. So what happened was when he was hired to play the role of the Tin Man, he said to the producers, "Man, is there a way you could try to get me into play the Scarecrow still? I'm really interested in it. Here's like $10. Anyway, they agreed. And they switched him over. And the fluidity, Bolger had this thing about him where he was like very flexible. Whereas the Tin Man's very rigid, like the thing. So that's how it ended up. So here's the thing. Buddy Epson, Jed Clampett, was supposed to play the Tin Man, but he got an allergic reaction from his makeup. And he actually was very serious. He actually ended up in critical condition in the hospital. He started inhaling this crap. It was he had a toxic reaction from aluminum dust, and he was pretty sick. Ended up in the hospital. Doctor said that he can't do this. He pulled out. They hired Jack Haley. They actually hired. Now get this. You see what they did back in the day? Jack Haley, but they didn't tell him why Buddy Epson was let go or didn't come back. Jack Haley didn't know. So what they did, though, in order to cover themselves, they said, maybe we got to do something here. They made his makeup instead of the dust, like the aluminum dust, they made it like a pasty consistency, like wallpaper. I don't know, it's worse. So they plastered on this aluminum paste on Jack Haley, and that's how his face looks and stuff, Jesus. So anyway, Jack Haley then got the role and became Tin Man. Actually, W.C. Fields, right, little chickadee, artificial words could be in Philadelphia. Blah, blah. Not one of my favorites, not a favorite. He was actually going to be the Wizard, but he too expensive. They couldn't afford him. They could not afford W.C. Fields' price. They ended up with Frank Morgan, who already was on contract with the studio. So it was an easy thing to bring him in, play Wizard and all these other roles. Here's something I didn't know. There was a guy who was the head monkey. Remember the flying monkeys? And they have by the way, they have a prominent role in this new movie, Wicked. Well, if you remember the flying monkeys, there was a head monkey, and I didn't know about it. The monkey's name was Nico. And there was actually a guy who played Nico. He was like the head monkey, whatever. Can you think of that? Like, what's your resume? What other films are? Wow, I was the head monkey in Wizard of Oz. It's pretty good, huh? I wasn't a peon monkey, I was the head monkey. The 100 Munchkins, they hired 100 Munchkins to play the Munchkins. It's not funny, but I don't know why I'm right. They paid him $125 a week, which I guess back then was big money. Gail Sondergaard, who was a big-time actress back in the day, she was scheduled to play Witch. In fact, they didn't film any of her scenes, but they took publicity photos. If you go online, you could actually find her in the costume as the witch. What happened was she thought it was going to be a more glamorous role. Like she thought she was going to be this sexy witch, like this good-looking witch, who was evil but sexy. No. When she dug in deeper to the script, the final script, she found out the witch was going to be a little hag. She said, I'm out of here. I can't do this. I can't do this. She quit. So get this. 3 days before they started shooting The Wizard of Oz, they hired the great Margaret Hamilton to play the Wicked Witch of the West. The great, I tell you what, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I've seen some stuff that she's done. She was on with Mr. Rogers one time in the late 60s. What a woman. I've seen some interviews with her later on before she died at the 80s. What a nice lady. What a nice lady. The exact opposite of the Wicked Witch of the West. Great lady. And boy, did she have some stories. I tell you what, she scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. Whoa. I wasn't really scared that much as a kid, you know. It took a lot to scare me. Hell, even now. But the Wicked Witch of the West, she made me so scared. I went to the point of peeing my pants. Anyway, okay. So we talked about Bud Gibson, how he almost died. Actually, when Jack Hale got this new pasty, silver pasty stuff, he didn't die. He wasn't sick, but he did develop an eye infection. And we know what happened to Margaret Hamilton, right? And she was injured. You know that scene in Munchkin Land at the start of the film where she disappears and she confronts Dorothy, who wants the ruby slippers, and the good witch says, "We better keep them out. It must be very terrible. I'll get you, pretty, and your little dog too." And then the witch takes off, right? In this big puff of smoke and fire. That actually was an accident because there was an elevator there that Margaret Hamilton stepped on, and she went down below Munchkin Land, and it looked like she disappeared. Well, in actuality, they set off the fire a little bit too soon, and she was burned in the face and her hands. She was out of work for 6 weeks. And from what I understand, Judy Garland, who was a swimmer, went over and helped feed her lunch. Was there for a while. She did soup. You know, these characters were in this makeup for a long time. They couldn't eat anything at work. In the commissary, eating lunch. They couldn't. A lot of these people were like the carrying lion, the scarecrow. They had to drink soup. They had milkshakes. They couldn't eat solid food because of the makeup. Like I said, they went through hell. All right. So Dorothy, originally they had the Dorothy was all, how should I put it? Sexy, sex. They had Judy Garland were this ridiculous blonde wig. And they had her really made up. All this rouge on her face, lipstick and stuff. And so when the new director came forward, he said, no, this. He said, be yourself. He said, Judy Garland, be yourself. And that's Judy Garland. That's what we see. He also changed the clothing. Even Margaret Hamilton's witch costume, the black cape and everything, the hat, it was different. He got what we see now, the final product of the Wicked Witch of the West. That was part of the changes that they did. We talked about the extreme conditions that these actors had to go through. Margaret Hamilton, she had 3rd-degree burns. It was pretty bad. 3rd-degree burns in her hands and her face of this accident. And when I saw an interview, she was such a nice lady. Her lawyers, her attorneys, they told her she had to sue MGM. He had a big award. She said, No, 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 I won't do that. Not soon. But I'm not going to do this fiery crapping. In fact, when she got back, this is what tells you about these producers and directors, how heartless they were after the they wanted Margaret Hamilton to start doing stuff again with the fire. The thing where she's on the broomstick and she's flying around Oz and she writes "Surrender Dorothy" in the air. Well, I actually wanted her to get up on the broom, and there was some pyrotechnic things. They would have her suspending from the ceiling on the broomstick. She said, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I wasn't doing that. Wait a minute. I was 6 weeks in the hospital and you're asking me to do this? What the hell?" So they finally said, okay. And you know what happened? She had a stand-in do that stunt, and the stand-in burned herself so bad she was in critical condition. I kid you not. It's ridiculous what they had these people go through. Yeah, and then, there was other stuff that happened on the set, like some of the actors would make rude remarks to Judy Garland, trying to proposition her. The Munchkins got a little too frisky there with their little hands there, broken her and stuff. I did things like that. There were a number of scenes said that were deleted. In fact, they had one scene. Remember where Dorothy is captured in Miss Witch's castle, and she has that top hourglass going down to the end. And once it hits the end, the witch is going to have her killed. Remember that? Actually, during that scene, Dorothy was supposed to sing over the rainbow again. She was supposed to think back to the days of Kansas. Let's say somewhere that why? They cut it. Yes, because of time, but also they thought it was too emotionally intense. That here you got this supposed little girl who's ready to die at the hands of this evil witch. And she's singing somewhere. I mean, I'm tearing up just thinking about it, What the hell? So at the end, The Wizard of Oz came out to about 2 hours. And most of the movies back then were 90 minutes. So MGM said, all right, you're going to have to pare the film down a little bit. It's a little too long. So they went in and they got rid of some of those scenes, the music scenes, like the Jitterbug scene and different things. And the scene I just talked about with Dorothy singing in the castle. But they also cut some other scenes out too. Now, some of them survived, that you can look them up online. Some of them, only the audio. You could find like the Jitterbug scene, but only the audio. Because the film's so old, a lot of the deleted scenes were disappeared from the film. And actually, the song itself, "Over the Rainbow," was almost cut out of the movie. And it's just this like the Wizard of Oz. It's like one of the best parts of the film. What the hell are we thinking? But luckily, the main director, who was Victor Fleming, and some of the head honchos for the film, they stood their ground. They said, no, this is a beautiful song. We're not cutting this song. We'll cut other things out, but we're not cutting this song. But that goes to show you, some people you think know best, just because they're this high and mighty head of the studio or something, hoity-toity. And they know shit. And they wanted to cut out "Over the Rainbow," and it stuck in, and it's a good thing. One of the most beautiful songs. So, final things. Now, Rotten Tomatoes still has The Wizard of Oz 98%. And why not? It's a great movie. The classic lines like gee, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. or so get your mouth down, or there's no place like it, no place like it. And the movie Slippers, there were four pairs, and there's a pair that's in the Smithsonian Institute, and a pair that they loaned to Judy Garland's hotel. And I think you heard that was stolen from years ago. The FBI actually got it back. There are four pairs that still exist, and they're worth about $3.5 million each. Wow, that's a lot of cash for a parachute set. And there is still some memorabilia floating. It's priceless. All right, here's my final moments. Well, the Wizards. Great movie. Great movie. In fact, I might watch it again. I'm all jacked up yet. I might watch it again Thanksgiving night. 8 o'clock, TVs. I haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad they have the movie Wicked and part two's coming up streaming. And gives us a little background the Wizard Brothers. Let's face it, there's no movies going to top the Wizard of Oz. And when you hear about a lot of problems that with this movie, you appreciate it. You appreciate the fact that despite all the directors, despite all the screenwriters, despite everything that went on the set, all the medical emergencies, and even after the movie was done, trying to cut it down to 90 minutes. It's a classic. It's like a perfect story. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to play it. It is just a classic movie. I wish they would have been sequel back in the day. But, I mean, come on. Judy Garland was pretty old to play Dorothy anyway. And like I said, when the original Wizard of Oz came out, it just about broke even. It didn't really make that much money for MGM. So they weren't like really gung ho to make a sequel. But it is what it is. And we have the original and appreciate it. So to me, one of the best movies ever. Certainly, in my the best musical. So that's our movie clubs. And so we'll do one of them. That hell, right? Okay. All right, everybody have a great day. Peace and unity. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until you later. Follow the yellow the green. Follow the yellow the green. Follow